Welcome to Rise Up Voices from the Frontlines, your window into relationship, identity, safety, emotional awareness, regulation and intelligence, unleashed potential, passion and purpose.
Welcome back to Rise Up Voices from the Frontlines, Trauma-Informed Leadership Series, and I'm Krista Fee. Today we're going to expand the frame. In our last episode, we talked about the science of trauma in individuals, how trauma reshapes the nervous system, and how leaders can either regulate or dysregulate the people that they lead. But here's the next layer. What happens when individual trauma becomes collective? What happens when an entire team, organization, or community begins to function like a single nervous system? The answer is powerful, and it explains why leadership today cannot ignore trauma science. In the aftermath of a school shooting, years ago, I worked with a school district that had gone through the nightmare of a school shooting. The students were traumatized. The teachers were shaken. The parents were raw with fear. But what struck me most wasn't just the individuals. It was the collective. The entire district carried a nervous system on edge. Meetings were tense. Arguments flared up quickly. Even routine decisions felt loaded with panic. The leaders of that district realized something really crucial. They weren't just leading policies and logistics. They were leading a collective nervous system. And until they tended to that, nothing else was going to work. So here's the science of the collective nervous system. Humans are wired, literally wired, for co-regulation. One nervous system influences another, and that multiplies across a team, an organization, or an entire community. And that creates a collective nervous system. Think of it like this. In a regulated group, calm spreads easily. Decisions come easy. Trust deepens over time. In a dysregulated group, anxiety spreads, chaos multiplies, and suspicion grows. This is why leadership matters so much. The nervous system of a leader doesn't just affect themselves, it ripples through the entire system. Research shows us something called emotional contagion. Our brains mirror the emotional states of those around us. When a leader shows calm confidence, mirror neurons in the team begin to reflect that state. When a leader panics or lashes out, the same contagion happens in the opposite direction. It's why one stressed out manager can tank the morale of a whole department. And it's why one grounded commander can hold a unit steady under fire. One bad apple ruins the entire batch. As a leader, your nervous system is never private. It's literally public property. It's the tuning fork of the whole system, and everything aligns to it. So let's do some historical reflection from the Civil Rights Movement. Think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His calm under pressure wasn't just personal. It was collective regulation. When he walked into hostile crowds, when he preached nonviolence while being beaten and jailed, his nervous system communicated steadiness. That steadiness spread. Entire communities drew courage from that calm. And without that regulation, the movement could have easily dissolved into chaos and violence. But his leadership, his nervous system, it anchored that collective. So let's fast forward to today. In a hospital ICU, where trauma and crisis are constant, a nurse manager's presence can mean the difference between chaos and function. When she speaks calmly during a code blue, the team aligns. When she panics, the room fractures. The medicine is the same, the training is the same, but the nervous system of the leader changes the outcome. This is the collective nervous system in action. So let's look at the shadow side of dysregulated leadership. Let's be real. Not all leaders regulate. Some leaders dysregulate entire systems. The police captain who yells unpredictably, leaving his officers on edge. The corporate executive who spreads fear about layoffs, destabilizing a whole company. The nonprofit director who micromanages from anxiety and exhausts their entire staff. When leaders carry unhealed trauma, they project it into the system. Their dysregulation becomes contagious. The result? Burnout, turnover, mistrust, and even collapse. This is why trauma-informed leadership is not optional. It's literally survival. So here's some personal reflection about what I learned the hard way. I've lived this. There were seasons in my own leadership where I was carrying so much personal trauma that I didn't realize I was dysregulating my team. I thought I was being passionate, but my intensity was spilling out as urgency, and that unsettled the people around me. Once I learned the science, once I began regulating myself first, everything changed. Meetings got calmer. Creativity rose, people felt safer, and I realized the leader's nervous system sets the tone for everyone else. So how leaders regulate communities? How do you lead the collective nervous system? First, you regulate yourself. Before you walk into the room, you regulate your own body. Breathe, ground, settle. You can't regulate others if you're dysregulated yourself. Set the pace, not the panic. In crisis, people mirror your speed. Slow down enough to anchor them. Urgency spreads panic. Presence spreads steadiness. Model transparency without chaos. It's okay to admit stress, but do it in a way that models resilience, not collapse. This is hard, but we can do it together. Create safe rhythms, rituals, routines, check-ins, things that create predictability. This all lowers collective anxiety. Invite co-regulators. Build a team of anchors. Don't try to carry the whole system alone. And here's some neuroscience insight. Safety is contagious, just as fear is contagious. So is safety. When one leader brings a calm, regulated presence into a space, it doesn't just affect one person, it ripples outward. Safety multiplies. And in communities carrying trauma, that multiplication is literally life-saving. So ask yourself these questions before reflecting. When I walk into a room, do I bring regulation or dysregulation with me? What are the ripple effects of my nervous system on my team and community? And how can I build rhythms and rituals that anchor collective safety? So an important truth, leadership is nervous system stewardship. You're not just leading people as individuals, you're leading the collective nervous system of your community. But here's the good news. When leaders regulate, communities rise up. Safety spreads, trust deepens, creativity flourishes. But when leaders ignore their own dysregulation, communities fracture. The choice is yours. And it starts with one body, one breath, one nervous system. You. Thank you for joining me today on Rise Up Voices from the Frontlines. This is our trauma-informed leadership series. If this episode resonates with you, share it forward, because the more leaders who learn to regulate the collective nervous system, the stronger and safer our communities will become. And if you'd like to join our trauma-informed leadership course and community, or bring our IACET CEU trainings into your facility or organization, book a free connection call with me using the link in the show description. And as always, rise up out of the ashes of your experiences and lead your life with fire.
Become a Rise Up Hero sponsor to provide mental wellness and crisis response resources for those who serve country and community. Join us in the Rise Up movement